plays games with Steve. Fi and I climbed up through the hatch and out onto the top of the AB room. It took us only a moment to spot them. Akane! Behind her was Dio. He was moving quickly and quietly, a knife glinting in his right hand. And he's like lurched over like a mustache-twirling villain. Shit! There was no time to yell to her. Scrambled down from the top of the AB room. Fi wasn't following me. When I looked back, she was still standing on the roof. Fi! What the hell are you doing? Get down here and... Before I could finish, she moved. She ran across the roof and launched herself into the air. Oh, I guess I'll have to leave it up to my imagination. I wanted to yell the biggest, "Get fucked!"
I mean, a drop kick to the head's pretty good.
Yeah, I just wanted to see it, though.
Yeah.
But what the?
He's fine. Just unconscious.
Bent down and farted in his face. You know, took his wallet.
Yeah.
I bent down and held my fingers in front of his mouth.
Pulled his hat over his head like in Pinocchio, where the fox is like, yeah.
He was still breathing.
I don't think he saw me. He probably has no idea what happened to him.
Guy went down like a sack of potatoes.
He had it coming.
I heard footsteps come to a stop right in front of us. I looked up.
So you came. I've been waiting for you. You're here to hear the rest, right?
Wait. Just wait a minute. What the hell is your deal? How can you be so calm? If we hadn't shown up just now, you'd...
Have been stabbed in the heart by this young man and died, yes. Although that reminds me, I haven't thanked you yet. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate you saving me.
That... What?
Hold on. How do you know about being stabbed by Dio? Are you an Esper too? Yes, indeed I am. I am able to jump through time just like you.
Then what the hell were you thinking? If you knew he was going to stab you, why were you going to let him do it?
Because I had to.
You what?
Think back. Why are you here? If I hadn't been killed by Dio, no one else would have been murdered. Consequently, your own abilities would never have manifested. I did explain, didn't I? The purpose of the AB project was to send the two of you to the past, or your minds at least. In order for that to happen, some death was necessary. When a human brain is faced with danger, its processing speed increases. Information is processed more quickly, and time almost seems to slow. A few seconds can feel like an eternity. It's a good thing I read really fast. Unfortunately, that in itself isn't enough to send oneself through time. The amplitude of the consciousness is simply too small. In order to increase the amplitude, we need to slow down the brain before the increase happens. It's a little like a slingshot. You pull back on the rubber band and then let go. The potential energy you stored in the band is released and converted into kinetic energy. That's what fires the bullet out of the slingshot. Now, while a slingshot can only fire in one direction, your mind isn't similarly limited. When the bullet of your consciousness is fired from the slingshot of your brain, it travels past the three-dimensional world and into the four-dimensional one. From that perspective, time is no longer fixed. In other words, you can travel to the future, the past, whenever you like. Your consciousness has been released from the three-dimensional cage. In order for that to happen, I had to infect you with Radical 6.
Whoa, what?
We're infected with Radical 6? Yes. Don't you remember, Sigma? Luna should have told you about it in another timeline. Are you sure? Infecting all these people with such a horrible disease. Every single one of you has been infected. Well, apart from Luna, of course. Unfortunately, it was necessary. We needed to slow your minds in order to store up your potential energy. Then we provided a dire situation that would accelerate your processing speed. The result is what you are now experiencing. Your consciousness now occupies four-dimensional space-time. Even that, however, wasn't enough. You had the ability to travel, but your memories could easily be lost during the trip. If the project was to succeed, you had to be able to retain everything you learned in each reality. That was the reason you were forced to jump so many times. With each jump, your ability to remember improved. Eventually, you'll be able to retain everything. That is why we made you play the AB game. That was why you had to select different chromatic doors. By forcing specific choices, we could cause you to make more jumps.
I get it. It's like give yourself goosebumps.
What? Oh, yeah, sure.
Come on, Sigma's got to make a reference. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I think I finally understand. Well, okay. There are a lot of things I don't understand. All of what you just told me makes sense.
I like how give yourself goosebumps is the reference point, and not like choose your own adventure.
I mean, that was my first experience with books, you know. So, yeah, what can I say? You did all of this so that Fi and I could jump through 4-dimensional space with our memories intact? Right?
Yes.
But why do you need us to do that? People have died for this. I mean, let's count how many different ways people died. Murder, antimatter explosion, suicide. I've died, so has Fi, so have you. Oh yeah, I forgot about the one where everyone died. Who did that? So why would you do all this? What does it matter that Fi and I jumped through time?
Haven't I told you? Death was unavoidable. You were all destined to die. Sacrifices had to be made for the sake of the project.
I already know all that. What I'm asking you is why? What is so goddamn important that it's worth all this?
I'm sure you'll figure it out eventually. What? Just when is eventually? In a future not very far from now.
Bullshit. That's not good enough. Why can't you tell us now? Instead of answering, Akane knelt down next to Dio and picked his knife up off the floor.
I'm going to keep this with me.
Don't change the subject.
But it's almost time.
What are you talking about? You've got plenty of time.
No. In a few moments you'll return to the original timeline.
What?
This is the way it has to be. Don't fight it. Lagomorph? Yes? Lagomorph. You call him Zero Jr. His official designation is Lagomorph. Lagomorph, this is an order. Unlock my bracelet. Compliance. Now everything is in place. I have put the bracelet onto Dio. All we have to do is place his body in the 5th AB room, the second one from the right. That's the one Quark is in, right? Correct. I will move him. I will also put your bodies back into the 3rd AB room. Once that's done, I will reset its puzzle to an unsolved state.
Why do you need to do all that?
To recreate the history that you remember. Your consciousness is about to leave your body and return to the future. Your body will be emptied, and your other consciousness will jump back in. If your bodies aren't back in the 3rd AB room by then, it would be bad. So you're saying some version of us is going to wake up in that room and repeat the same history again? Well, I guess this could actually be our 2nd or 3rd time. You are exactly correct. Lastly, I'm going to leave this with you.
She paused and pulled something out of her pocket. It was a small key attached to a string.
I'll tie it onto your ankle so that you won't lose it. All right, Sigma?
What's it say on there?
Tu fui ego eris. It's Latin. It means what you are, I was. What I am, you will be. Yes.
What am I supposed to do with it?
It will help you meet someone who's very important.
What?
Go. Return to the future. You won't be alone. I will be at your side watching over you. Now hurry.
Wait! I still... I don't want to start the fire. Again.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we're still missing. Forgot I haven't paid attention to look at the endings. The only one we don't have is a Phi ending.
Okay. Ooh, no, down there.
No, but I'm curious. What was this from again? This was. How do we stop Phi?
This is like the one where we deactivate all the bombs and shit. Yeah.
All right, so we go. We should jump here.
Okay, square.
So this was.
Oh wait, no. Oh, looks like you're awake.
Is this the infirmary?
Why are we here?
Do you know what happened at the AB gate?
Kay and I went back to the infirmary, but...
We waited and waited, and the two of you never returned.
So we went to the warehouse to check on you.
We found you passed out in front of the AB rooms.
Kay and I hurried back here with you.
I looked over at Phi and met her eyes. Do you remember what happened just now?
You mean what happened a long time ago?
Yeah. You got him pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I remember all right.
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah, fucking idiot.
Fucking piece of shit. Hey, what are you guys talking about?
Quark! God, you're here?
It's... Hello! What am I, chopped liver?
Alice!
Back among the conscious and not psychotic, huh?
Yeah, thanks.
Grandpa told me what you did. Thanks for finding the medicine for us.
No problem. All in a day's work. Although I wouldn't mind a little swimsuit action.
Really grabbing at straws here, aren't
You
you?
don't have to leave much for the imagination with Alice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't talking to Quark. That was an offer for Alice.
We talk about Shaft.
Not really my point. Whatever, forget about that, weirdo. Now that you guys are awake, all we gotta do is open the number 9 door.
Huh?
What are you talking about?
Look at your bracelet.
It says 10. I have 10 BP.
I've got 15 BP. That means I got 6 more points while I was out.
But how?
You've been asleep for more than 2 hours. We've played the AB game 3 times.
3 times?
Turns out when Dio the dickhead isn't involved, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yes. Of course, the color and group assignments were shuffled around each time. But no matter who voted, everyone chose ally.
Dio's like, imagine a world where everyone chose ally and like, you know, ugh.
And now all of us have enough to leave.
We could go home now, Phi. Whatever that is. I was stunned. How had everyone cooperated long enough to raise all of our BP past 9? Was it because Akane hadn't been killed? Not a death to start things off. Maybe we'd been less suspicious of one another? Or could the bombs have had something to do with it? We all joined forces against Dio, and Phi and I had been able to disarm all of them. All of us had banded together against a common enemy and overcome a tremendous threat. Perhaps that had strengthened our bond. Which I had to admit, would be somewhat ironic. After all, Dio had planted the bombs that forced us all to work together against him. This must have been what Akane was talking about.
Haven't I told you? Death was unavoidable. Sacrifices had to be made for the sake of the project.
Come on, let's go. Let's open the door and get out of here.
Wait. What about this dickhead?
Nah.
After some discussion, we decided to leave Dio behind.
Whoa.
Alice was the only holdout. She'd complained about wanting to take him back to her superiors, but after I mentioned they'd come back to investigate after we escaped and deal with Dio then, she reluctantly complied.
All right, let's get going.
I don't know if that's the smartest thing, though, to leave him there. Warehouse A. Now I get to do the series finale of a sitcom and look around Warehouse A one last time.
Turn the lights off, yeah.
Everybody ready? I'm gonna open it. Yes, just get on with it. Everyone else swallowed and nodded. Grabbed the lever and pulled it down. We all waited very patiently.
It's open. Yeah.
Is that all you want to say? You know, it's your last announcement. All right, everybody, let's move. I didn't need to tell them twice. The room inside was clearly a loading elevator. It looked sort of like a large plate on top of a huge pedestal. We ran to the center of the plate and turned around. Number 9 door stood wide open.
2, 1, 0. All right, bye.
Oh wait, I left my keys in there.
Oh, I know my Game Boy. Oh. We gotta go back. We're not going back, Sigma.
Nah, you don't understand. Number 9 door has closed. This ends the notary.
All right, that's me. Thank you for your participation.
We said we left some stuff in there, so we reopened the door. It looks the same. It's reusing assets. But
Timmy was just okay. You go pee. You grab the thing.
make sure you got everything.
Looks like we did it.
Yes. We should keep moving.
Beyond the door was a wide hallway that ended in a very solid wall. To the left, we found a very familiar-looking door. We pushed it open and went in. Pressure exchange chamber. You know what this place is?
Yeah, sort of. This whole facility is pressurized, apparently. I think the idea is to keep the air outside and consequently the virus from getting inside. That means if we want to go out, we have to decompress so we match the outside air pressure. This room here is where you prepare for going into the actual pressure exchange room. You see all those suits along the wall? I figure we need to put those on and head to the decompression room downstairs.
Whoa, hold on a minute. You're saying the air outside is full of that horrible virus?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Of course, according to Akane, we're all already infected with Radical 6, so the whole room seemed a little pointless. Why? How did all this happen?
Did they?
No, that's not possible.
We've come this far. We can't turn back now. Let's go outside. There's no way to know what's really going on until we do.
All right. No one else objected. We all donned the protective suits and headed downstairs to the decompression room. Wow, even Kay. As soon as we were all inside, the process began. Through my helmet, I could hear the soft hiss of air being sucked out of the room. We stood there for several minutes, waiting for the process to finish. At last it did, and we heard the door begin to open. Beyond it was another decompression chamber. We repeated the process 2 more times before we reached the final door and opened it. It's like the AB game. The dead, bleak landscape wasn't a surprise for me. I'd seen it before, in another timeline. The others hadn't, however, and although I couldn't see their faces through the visors of their helmets, I heard more than a few gasps over the radio. For a few long moments, we just stood there, astonished. Where the hell are we?
The desert, I guess?
I figured that out. I mean, which one?
I don't know, but I think I know what day it is. Look at the moon. It's red, right? That means today's the total lunar eclipse. Remember that.
Yeah, I never forgot. So?
Remember the astronomy magazine in the lounge? Well, the next eclipse like this was going to be on December 31st, 2028. So...
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Are you suggesting we were sleeping for a week after we were abducted?
I think so.
Wherever we were must have been far away from any city. The air was clearer than I'd ever seen it. And the stars, the sky was full of them. More stars than I'd ever seen in my life. I couldn't even spot the hazy arm of the Milky Way. The most striking feature was the moon. It was blood red and massive. Much bigger, in fact, than I remembered it being. Then, as I watched, a black spot began to move across its surface. It was hard to see details, but it looked circular. The spot continued to move across the moon, heading for the right edge. What's that?
The moon. Well, the moon's shadow, actually.
The moon's shadow? I frowned. That didn't make any sense.
Zero told me to stay quiet. I think he was worried I'd spill the beans on his operation. He said if I didn't toe the line, he wouldn't just kill me, he'd kill Quark, too. And I agreed like an idiot and brought Quark with me. Just so I could see her. Such an idiot. So that being the case, might as well start with this. I meant what I said before. That up there is the moon's shadow.
What the hell are you saying?
Think about it. If that's the moon's shadow, then what's it falling on?
That's Earth?
Yeah. It's not the red moon you get from a lunar eclipse. Then again, this isn't a lunar eclipse, it's a solar eclipse. Anybody in the black spot down there is looking up at the moon covering the sun.
What? No way! If that's the Earth, then where the hell are we?
The moon, of course. This is the lunar surface. We were just inside a moon base.
No way. No, you've got to be lying. How do you expect us to believe that? This can't be the moon.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. Besides, if this was the moon, how do you explain the gravity? The moon only has 1/6 of the Earth's gravity. So what's this?
She picked up a rock and dropped it.
See? That looked perfectly normal.
Yes, it looked that way.
I didn't do that intentionally.
No, but
Luna?
you were right about the gravity in a way. I was one of the people who knew this wasn't Earth. Well, I suppose I'm not people, if we're being honest, but...
Excuse me, what?
Please, just listen. Alice, you were infected with Radical 6. Then we gave you the Accelerator, which cured you. The Radical 6 isn't completely gone, though. Some of its symptoms stick around for a while.
What symptoms?
Well, Radical 6 can slow down your brain's processing speed by the root of 1/6. It can take a while for your brain to get back up to speed. Every one of us has been infected. In other words, all of our brains have been processing information at a much lower speed. If you evaluated the root of 1/6, you'll get a number close to 0.408. That means our brains are running at something slightly less than half speed. As you said before, the moon's gravity is about 1/6 that of Earth's. The time that it takes for an object to fall is inversely proportional to the square root of the gravitational acceleration. Since the gravity is lower on the moon, that means the time increases. I guess that's a little technical. Let me give you an example. Say you drop an apple from a height of 4.9 meters. It will take approximately 1 second to hit the ground. On the moon, however, that time will be 1 second times root 6, which would be approximately 2.45 seconds. I use 4.9 meters because it matches up with the acceleration of gravity nicely, but it could be anything. The gravity constant is, well, a constant. You could drop something from 10 centimeters or 10 meters and it would be the same. Does that make sense? So now we've established that on the moon, things fall root 6 times slower than they do on Earth. That being the case, what would happen if someone's brain slowed down by root 1/6? To them, 2.45 seconds would feel like 1 second. 4.9 would feel like 2. But it's not hypothetical. That's what's been happening to every one of us. Wait. You're saying that's the reason we didn't notice the weaker gravity?
Do you understand what they're saying?
Well, they're saying that, you know, since everything we're processing is slower, we're definitely on the moon, but, you know...
So, like, she dropped a rock, it looked fine.
It's like,
right?
oh, like, look, it's normal. It's like, no, we're just processing things slower.
Yeah.
So, of course it looks normal, but...
Yeah.
To
I think that's actually extremely clever. It's very silly, but it's very clever. Are you sure you didn't notice anything? Think back. Huh? You and Sigma and Phi said something about it in the lounge. About how you felt weird. It's kind of like my body isn't really mine. I'm sort of floating. Like that.
Seemed insane, but what Luna said made sense. In fact, it explained Phi's apparently superhuman strength quite well.
That's how she can jump like that.
Yeah. I thought she was a superhero. Wait. This is crazy. That can't possibly be Earth out there. Look at it. I've seen photos of Earth, and it's blue, and green, and beautiful.
Like me.
Like me. That thing is just red.
Before we get into that, I should probably tell you something. This isn't New Year's Eve in 2028.
Oh boy.
Today is January 27th.
In 29?
No.
Don't tell me 30?
Still no.
Then just what year is this?
It's 74. 2074.
No. That's insane. That would mean we were abducted more than 45 years ago.
I don't blame you if you don't believe me, but it's the truth.
How can you be sure?
It's not that hard. Quark and I left Earth on January 23rd, 2074. Solar eclipses are easy to predict. We've known there'd be one on the 27th for a long time. That's just science. Nobody can change that.
But why is the Earth red?
That's a long story. About 45 years ago, on April 13th, 2029, there were 18 annihilation reactors operating in various parts of the world. On the 13th, all 18 of them went up, all at the same time. The explosion was about 180,000 times as powerful as the atom bomb they dropped on Hiroshima.
What? Why?
I suppose it started a few months before that. The government had a test site for a future Mars mission out of the middle of Nevada. On December 31st, 2028, there was an accident. Well, accident doesn't quite convey the right sense of the thing. The point is, Radical 6 claimed its first victims there and escaped. Didn't take long for it to spread to the rest of the world. Like Luna explained, the virus slows your brain down, but eventually it also makes you kill yourself. Pretty soon the bodies started to pile up. Some people would take a dive off a building or shoot themselves in the head. You know, the classics. But for some it was poison, or fire, or asphyxiation, or the noose. Plenty of people jumped in front of trains or cars. One pilot on a passenger airline drove his plane into the ground. Most forms of transportation ground to a halt pretty fast. That meant food couldn't get distributed, and thousands of people who weren't even infected died from starvation. Everywhere you went, there were just piles of corpses covered in flies and rats and crows. I don't know what hell's like, but I imagine it's a lot like that. After a while, people who'd managed to avoid getting infected started trying to get in touch with one another. They got a hold of some radios and organized a couple meetings. There was only one thing to discuss, of course. How could they get rid of Radical 6? The answer, they decided, was purification. They figured they could just roast the surface of the Earth, and that'd kill the virus off for good. On April 13th in 2029, they put their plan into effect. That plan was to detonate all 18 annihilation reactors. Now, the truth is that's mostly just rumor. Nobody really knows what happened. But I've got my own theories. I think that the bombers had already been infected. And when they died, they took billions with them. The ultimate "if I die, you're coming with me" gesture, I suppose. I'd bet you money they had all lost it long before they got to the reactors. Killing most of the world, no matter how bad things had gotten, was not a sane plan. Even if it wasn't directly responsible, Radical 6 killed most of the people on Earth. Anyway, why it happened isn't that important. Point is, it happened. You ever heard of nuclear winter? Well, that's basically what we got. The explosions threw a ton of crap up into the stratosphere, where it joined up with smoke and ash from all the fires. It blotted out the sun for 7 years. Plants withered and animals died by the millions. The few humans were left banded together to survive. They were rough times. Eventually they were over, though. The sky cleared and the sun came back. Plants started blooming again, and the animals that hadn't died out completely began to reappear. Things weren't quite back to normal, though. It's been 45 years now, but there's still quite a bit of dust and ash in the air. That's what you're seeing. You know why a sun sets red? Well, this is the same thing. Blue and green light have short wavelengths, and they scatter when they run into debris in the air. Red light, on the other hand, has a longer wavelength, which means it'll get a lot farther when the air is dirty. So there you are. The Earth looks red because that's the only color of light that can make it through the atmosphere.
I was speechless. What could I possibly say? There was no reason for Temioji to lie to us. So we were standing on the moon, looking at the Earth. It was 2074. But why? Why were we there? Why were we then? I was so lost in thought I barely noticed Phi's approach.
Hey, Sigma. I think I figured something out.
Window popped up on the inside of my helmet with a whisper in the corner. She seemed to be using a circuit only we could hear. Yeah? What is it?
I figured out why there's an extra E.
An extra E? Oh, you mean the graffiti?
Yeah, the one on floor B. I think it's an anagram just like on floor A.
What's Anna say this time?
God damn it, Sigma. Knock it off. Memento mori, if the ninth lion ate the sun. If you rearrange the letters, you get the man on the moon rules the infinite time. See?
Oh, you're good at that.
You need 6 E's to get that. So they stuck an extra one in ninth.
The man on the moon rules the infinite time.
I think it's a message for us from Zero Senior and Akane. Remember what she was telling us? We created it for one purpose. To transport consciousnesses. You as in Sigma and Phi. Woo!
So, what are you getting at?
My god, you're slow.
Yes, I am.
You don't get it? They're saying we rule the infinite time. Infinite time. They weren't just talking about having us jump a couple hours. I think they're planning to send us back. Way back.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you think they're going to send us back 45 years?
Yeah, I'd bet on it.
So the ultimate purpose of the AB project is to send us back in time to that catastrophe Temioji was talking about.
I think so.
It doesn't make sense, though. I mean, we came from the same time period. Before it, actually. So why bring us here and then send us back?
Well, Akane should be able to tell us the rest. Let's go pay her a visit.
Do you know where she is?
I've got an idea. Come on, think. Remember what she said when she gave you the key? Tu vui ego eris.
The grave! The one in the garden! Wow, I totally forgot about that.
Well, come on, what are you waiting for? Well, I guess we're waiting for tomorrow.
Oh! Gotta
Let's go.
to the garden.